isn't pushed. The Eagles' controversial play lives to see another season. Plus, a Rockies fan sues the team, saying their historically awful performance is why he was injured by a foul ball. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today from FOS Studios in New York City. I'm Baker Machado, and I wonder what Eagles Nation thinks of the Tush Push ruling.
I'm Renee Washington. Thanks so much for joining us, representing my Philadelphia Eagles. But listen, every weekday we're chatting the biggest stories happening in the business and culture of sports. Plus, we've got Ken Griffey Jr. and Michael Collins joining us later in the show. But first, let's dive into the headlines in the shoot-around.
Yeah, and let's start in the NBA. The playoffs continue to be must-see TV, Renee, as ratings for the first two rounds across ABC, ESPN, and TNT up 3% from last year, averaging about 4.1 million viewers. Renee, this is the second most watched playoffs through the first two rounds since 2014. This coming off of the good numbers we got from the regular season.
Exactly. We saw a 6% increase from last year for round one, a 1% increase for round two, and now you have to wonder, what will the conference finals look like? I think a lot of it is that sports fans are excited that there are some new teams. We talked about it on the show yesterday, which is 3 NBA titles between these 4 teams. You've got new blood, you've got new excitement. I mean, it's the first time since '96 that a Western Conference final team is not going to come from either California or Texas. So the hard-fought plays, the history that's being made, I think it has people gravitating to watch because you have zero clue who's going to win.
Yeah, that California-Texas stat is bananas.
Insane.
By the way, the highest-rated game of the postseason so far, Game 4 between the Timberwolves and the Lakers saw over 7 million people watch that game.
Incredible.
All right, get ready for more Scott Hanson during the Olympics. FOS tuned-in reporter Mike McCarthy scooped the news that the NFL Red Zone host will return for Peacock's Gold Zone coverage during the 2026 Milan Winter Games. Renee, Mike also is reporting that talks are progressing for Scott Hanson to return to Red Zone again for this upcoming season because he is a free agent right now.
I know. 16 years that we've had Scott being a part of Red Zone.
Right.
And so to see now this opportunity for him to return back to the Olympics, we saw him for the Paris Olympics, how fantastic it was.
Great.
Got rave reviews. And now this will actually be the first time that Peacock's going to have this partnership for the Olympics next year. And also it's going to be great because it's the biggest Winter Olympics yet with nearly 3,000 athletes and 116 events. And we get Scott Hanson in the midst of it all in the Gold Zone, breaking it all down.
All right, speaking of gold, Tom Brady continues to take over Vegas as the NFL GOAT is teaming up with legendary broadcaster Jim Gray to open a sports memorabilia museum in June at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Vegas. This will feature over 300 historic items, including 7 of Brady's Super Bowl rings, so all of them, MJ's first ever pair of Air Jordans, and even a bat used by Jackie Robinson to break baseball's color barrier. I'm also intrigued, Renee. Hall of Fame Excellence, by the way, is what they're calling it, is going to be a self-guided tour narrated by Oscar winner Morgan Freeman.
You had me at Morgan Freeman. I mean, this is a great partnership opportunity, okay? I will say, for Tom Brady, continues to expand his portfolio of business ventures in his retirement age, especially in Vegas. He already has been involved in the front office for the Raiders, the Aces, also the Night Owls of the who are a pickleball team. And so to see him now, who's a big sports card collector and has collected them for 40 years, thousands of them, to now expand it to a museum, this is going to be great for people to be able to add to their Vegas itinerary of places to visit.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, NFL owners in Minnesota are voting on a slew of important decisions, including a big extension for Roger Goodell and the future of the controversial Eagles Tush Push. So let's dive into what happened in our main event. And let's bring in FOS reporter Eric Fisher, who's been following this for us. Eric, good to see you. So let's start immediately with the Tush Push. It looks like it didn't get enough votes to get rid of it for the next NFL season. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I think in true Eagles fashion, they pushed it over the line. We had some late and impassioned lobbying from both the team owner, Jeffrey Lurie, and the former star center, Jason Kelsey, who was present at the spring meetings in Minnesota, and they both made a very lengthy, impassioned, and fact-based defense that no reported injuries specifically from this play, and the play itself happens less than 0.3% of the time in terms of overall NFL action. And so both from a sort of incident standpoint and then an injury standpoint, we're able to sort of make the case to enough voters that this was not the big deal that it was made out to be.
Well, I'm going to reserve my biased thoughts as an Eagles fan, but I did see friend of the show, Ian Rappaport, tweet out that 22-10 was the final vote, which is also the same score the Eagles beat the Packers in the playoffs, which was an interesting.
That's what I love about sports.
It was a very full circle moment, but I'm not going to make any comments on that. I am interested, though, because the Detroit Lions also withdrew their proposal for reseeding in the playoffs.
Yes.
This seemed to be a big-ticket item, and what do you know about maybe what led them to want to withdraw or even where this stands
And
currently?
it felt like there was consensus that everybody wanted this.
I know I wanted that.
Yeah, this was actually not as close as the Tush Push. I think there was less support, which is why it didn't even get to a vote, because you don't want to sort of have a situation where it's embarrassing, where it's 3/4 against. This was something that Roger Goodell did favor, and the idea behind this is to get more starters playing in those late season games and having each of those regular season games matter as much as possible. The problem on the other side, though, is what is the unintended consequence? Are you taking away the significance of winning a division at all? And then there's also a supplemental question about what do you do with the schedule? Because the schedule is all constructed. It's a very detailed process. It's based upon divisional format. And if you're taking away the divisional format, you really need to address the schedule then as well.
Some more details just needed to be figured out before they can even bring this to the table.
I expect both issues actually to be revisited as soon as this fall.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I want to go quickly back to the Tush Push. It seems like it's only lived another day for this next season, but does that mean it's out of the woods completely? Could it still be banned down the road?
This is what I'm saying. To only go 2 votes short of the necessary 3/4 threshold, I would expect Roger Goodell and the other advocates of the ban to keep pushing, pun intended.
Right.
And I don't think we've heard the last on this at all.
Yeah, your head's about to explode. Speaking of Roger Goodell, for all intents and purposes, it looks like he might get renewed for another 3-year term. This would be his 5th renewal of his deal with NFL owners. He has driven a ton of revenue and profits for these owners. Do we think maybe this might be his last term? He sort of talked a little bit about maybe hanging it up down the road, and where do we sort of see his relationship with the owners here?
Especially since as of this conversation, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with that
as we're talking, the owners are literally in the room hashing this out, but probably going to get done, if not today, very soon. Roger Goodell, in 66, still in very good health. When he signed the last extension just 19 months ago that carried him into the first part of 2027, he was non-committal at the time, and since then everything's been pointing up. More viewers, more international, more everything as it relates to the NFL. And so again, as long as these things are going well, and they are, and he's in good health, and he is, there's no reason to change anything.
Interesting. Because you wonder if not Roger Goodell, then who? Who would be the guy or the gal?
Well, I think, so I think we're potentially kicking this down to the 2030s in some fashion. So we're talking at least 5 years down the road now at this point. But the name that everybody sort of focuses on at this point is Brian Rolap, who is the Chief Media and Business Officer and sort of is the number 2 for all intents and purposes, and has his finger on a lot of the key tent poles for the NFL and the key business matters. So that's a name I continue to watch.
Yeah, that's a name we hear a lot.
And something we do know that's going to happen 3 years down the road for the 2028 Olympics in LA is that NFL players can participate in flag football, which is exciting. Now, there are some other nuances and logistics that need to be figured out, especially since the proposal also alleges that only 1 player per team can participate. You've got Justin Jefferson, who said this is a dream come true because who doesn't want a chance to win a gold for their country? And then others like A.J. Brown that have said, I don't want to be involved because it's too much in the summer around getting ready for the start of the season. Sure. What do you think this is going to help provide the league in terms of growing their global presence, which Roger Goodell has talked about so much, but also providing these players this opportunity? We've got 30 seconds left. What are your quick thoughts on this?
Oh, I think it's going to be huge. That just very simply, every other major sports league participates in the Olympics, or in the case of baseball, the World Baseball Classic, but they'll also be in LA 28. Everybody else gets to do this. There's no reason why the NFL shouldn't be involved in some fashion.
Yeah, you think Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, all these guys would be incredible.
Dream team.
This literally is a dream team for the very first one. Eric, thank you so very much for your insight on all of this. Eric Fisher, FOS reporter, joining us. And coming up next, guys, on Front Office Sports Today, Ken Griffey Jr. is joining us.
The kid!
He's talking about his YouTube show, plus advice for aspiring photographers. That's all coming up next. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington. I'm Baker Machado, and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. is hitting the road. That alongside former PGA caddy and comedian Michael Collins in a new YouTube show called Caddie and the Kid. This is where they play legendary courses with stars like former NFL quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick and even Seattle Mariners legend Ichiro Suzuki. So to chat that and a whole lot more, let's bring in the Kid and the Caddy as well, Ken Griffey Jr. and Michael Collins. Guys, great to have you here. So Ken, let's talk about this first. How did this show come about? How did you guys sort of create this?
It's simple. Mike and I have been friends for years, and he happened to be going to Hawaii, and I figured that I'd get like a free vacation out of the thing.
Good idea.
Um, right. He said he was going to play golf, but he didn't say that he was working, that he had to do a couple things. I wanted to go play golf during this whole thing. And so I brought my golf clubs everywhere. I mean, on a bus, in a
Pineapple
pineapple thing.
plantation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In a
And
place
then
that,
brought his golf clubs to a glass blowing studio. We went to the place, the Kapalua, that makes the trophy for the tournament. And he had his golf clubs and may have knocked over and broke with $18,000.
What?
Maybe. But we knew from that moment on, like traveling that whole time, we were having so much fun together. It was like, we kind of got something here. We need to turn this into something.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
glass breaking moment for you guys to
Yes.
realize that
Oh,
you
good
had
one.
something special there. What makes the Caddy and the Kid this great blend of sports, comedy, and fun, and even just why you wanted to be a part of this network specifically?
I think we have the same moral issues. We're so much alike that it's we're like brothers on certain things, except packing. Some of us
Okay.
pack lighter than others.
Oh, here we go. See, he knows this one because he's been traveling so much for
Oh,
so
hold
long.
on, you're a caddy.
Yes, which means I'm going to be over prepared.
No,
I'm always-
they make that big ass tour bag, and
Yep.
you got another person carrying another bag and you got your own caddy in the stands, carrying a bag because you got so much stuff.
He can go on a 10 to 12 day trip with a carry-on.
Oh.
A carry-on and a backpack. Exactly. The look that you have right there of kind of confusion, I have the same. I
No,
can't
no,
do it
no,
at
no,
all.
no.
I don't understand it.
What led you to want to do this now, to have this show, this bucket list trip, aside from Michael maybe dragging you along, Ken? What made you guys decide this was the right time for this show and even these guests to join you on your show?
My kids are pretty much out of the house. And I think that my wife wants me to be out of the house also.
Okay.
Okay.
No, people who know me know that there's two sides of Ken. There's baseball Ken and there's not baseball Ken or retired Ken. Baseball Ken was a little difficult because I had to stay focused. Like people think that, play and the game is only from 7 to 11 or a day game 12 to or 1 to 4, whatever. It's not for guys that play at a high level and constantly think about it. It's a 24-hour a day job. It's so difficult to because people think, we're one way in that sport. That means our whole life is like that, and it's not. It's I come to work just like everybody else comes to work. I just know that I'm going to be seen, whether it's good or bad, on TV. So I've got to go out there and prepare myself like nobody does.
I mean, look, Ken, we know you have other things you do too. I mean, photography as well. We saw you at the Masters. I mean, I've seen some of the great shots you've taken. You have this great one of Ohtani. You have this great one with Tiger and his son. I guess my question is, has Michael ever asked you to take his headshots?
Baker wants you to
He
take his
sent me
headshot.
down that rabbit hole. I started doing photography now too because of him.
Really?
Oh,
I'm down the same
wow.
rabbit hole because of him. Yes.
Okay,
That's a
so you're
trendsetter,
both
Ken.
in.
No,
Trailblazer.
well, no, he was out. where were you? And I said,
Ryder
it's
Cup,
Ryder Cup.
Whistling Straits.
And I said, is Sony out there? He was like, yeah. I said, man, go ask to take a camera and just take pictures.
I was like, I'm not walking into Sony. I got this little wallet-looking camera thing I can put in my pocket. And he's like, oh, go talk to him and get one of the big ones. No, what? No. And he wouldn't leave me alone until I did it. And then, of course, I told hey, you got to set this up. I don't know what I'm doing. And ended up getting some good shots. And
Yeah, but how many pictures did you take?
Oh.
Because I know the number.
If you hold that button down, it just flutters a little bit. I was like, wow, that fluttered a bunch. I wonder how many. And then, when's the last time it said there's no room on the memory card? So when I called him, he said, how many pictures did you take? I was like, about 3,900.
There's got to be a good one in here somewhere, right?
And none of them are good.
Well, that was the thing. It was like 12 good ones out of almost 4,000 pictures. But then both him and the Sony guy were like, hey, you actually got some really good shots. And of course, I'm done.
Wow.
I'm running down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah,
I want more lenses too. Let me get a couple more camera bodies.
Oh my God, that is great. I love that.
Ken, really, really quickly, any advice to aspiring photographers like Michael out there?
Yes, what would you tell them?
Keep working. I mean, I tell everybody this. I didn't start off in the big leagues. I started off in little league like everybody else. And the same thing. I mean, Michael worked at small clubs before, he got the shot. And then he caddied for somebody before he got a call up. You guys worked somewhere else to prepare you for what you're doing now. I learned to fly a plane. Got my pilot's license in '07. And the two things that I learned about photography and flying a plane is everybody wants to help you get better. Everybody wants you to take better pictures. Everybody wants you to be a safer pilot. In sports, I'm not telling you a damn thing until I retire, so you can use it against me.
Yes, good point. Very good point.
I like that.
Very
I like
good
that.
point.
Keep your cards close to you.
Amen. Gentlemen, this was amazing.
So much
Ken
fun.
Griffey Jr., Michael Collins, the first episode of Caddie and the Kid, available to watch right now on Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud YouTube channel. And just based off this conversation, I feel like this is 40 seasons in the
From
making.
the trailer alone, I've been cracking
Yes.
up. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, we got a lot more front office sports today coming your way right after this quick break. And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports today. And a lawsuit filed against the Phoenix Suns by their former director of security has a bombshell allegation in it, Renee. It claims the team's CEO of the Phoenix Suns was having an affair with former Phoenix Mercury star Sophie Cunningham. So to get into this and more, let's bring in FOS Deals reporter Ben Horney. He's, of course, also the author of the Asset Class newsletter. Ben, thanks so much for joining us. This is also important because the Mercury and the Suns are owned by the same company. Yep. But tell us what's alleged in this lawsuit.
Yeah, so this is a pretty crazy situation. The Phoenix Suns, who are owned by Matt Ishbia now, he bought the team in December 2022 from the former embattled owner, Robert Sarver, who himself had a lot of issues. They have now been sued 4 times by 4 different either current or former employees since November. They all have somewhat similar allegations, but the details are different, but it's all basically toxic workplace. There's racial discrimination, there's retaliatory practices. It's not a good look for the Suns.
And this lawsuit that Gene Traylor has brought up against the Suns, it just mentions their relationship with WNBA star Sophie Cunningham and Josh as part of a way to show an example of painting the picture and adding more context. Yet, because of social media catching on to this and it going viral, it seems like that's taken over. That's not the exact lawsuit. That's just something mentioned in there as evidence, I guess you can say, to help support the lawsuit.
Exactly. So this has been, it's a perfect example of what the internet does. The internet has taken this and run with it. It's not even necessarily an allegation. It's like a claim, like you said, to illustrate a different point that Gene Traylor, the former director of security for the Suns, was trying to make. And the point that he was trying to make is that he claims the team hired a different person, Cornelius Craig, and that man's hiring was basically meant to get Gene Traylor out. So in trying to illustrate that the person, Cornelius Craig, was like kind of behaving erratically. He mentioned that there was a conversation that took place where Cornelius Craig said this claim about the alleged relationship between the Suns CEO and the WNBA player. So it was just a piece to illustrate the craziness of the guy. We didn't even actually report on that. Our original story was all about the underlying claims, which are pretty explosive and interesting themselves. The allegations are that the Suns' security is not up to par. There was a whole thing where the local police force undertook a test to basically test the arena security, and they were able to get in. Plainclothes officers were able to get into the Suns arena with knives and handguns. Were able to get through security. So that's the point of the lawsuit, is that this guy's trying to bring to attention, hey, they need to address the security issues, and they were also, retaliating against me, and this claim has just taken on a life of its own.
Ben, we have about a minute left with you. Sophie Cunningham was traded from the Mercury to the Indiana Fever.
Yes.
Has she responded to this? Has the team responded to this? What is everybody saying?
No, so good question. She has not responded. Her new team has not responded. The Suns emphatically deny that allegation. They have not responded to the actual lawsuit yet in court, but they emphatically deny the allegation about the relationship, and they say it's totally false.
Wow.
Well, in addition to the internal issues around the alleged relationship between the CEO and Sophie, he is a married man as well. Josh was married to his wife, Sydney, for 2 years. Lots to find out here because this is very fresh news, so it's a crazy story to follow.
Ben, thank you so much. And of course, you can sign up for Ben's big Business of Sports newsletter, Asset Class, over at frontofficesports.com. All right, Renee, speaking of more lawsuits, let's dive right into the FOS water cooler and see what's bubbling over there. And Renee, let's keep the wild lawsuits going. A Colorado man suing the Colorado Rockies for negligence. This after he says he was struck in the face with a foul ball while sitting in a Coors Field luxury box. Now, he claims the architectural elements of Coors Field hindered his ability to see that the ball was coming his way, this during a visit in 2023, and that the injury caused him, quote, catastrophic and permanent injury. But Renee, this is the best part. He says the Rockies' terrible performance on the field, I'm going to quote him, contributed, quote, to a game day environment in which spectators, particularly those in the luxury suites, are less engaged with the action on the field. He is requesting an unspecified amount of money in damages. This has to be one of the most wild lawsuits ever, but my favorite part of this is the Rockies ended up winning the game that he was at.
Actually got to win for that game. What's up with Colorado and lawsuits? I mean, we already saw the fan that filed a lawsuit against the NFL for the Shador slide.
Yeah.
And now we get this. And I will say it's crazy to me because we're talking back in 2023, and as you mentioned, couldn't see the ball. He was there for this company, and he had such terrible seats, I say that sarcastically, in the suite that he couldn't even see where the ball was coming from, and actually is blaming them, and even appointed to file a complaint against the Denver District Court of that incident of this is against some legal allegations that ballparks have to have something for fans to protect them from any foul balls. So I think he's reaching a bit here. He would have been fine of just saying the construction of the stadium was not built to make it easy for him to see the ball, but then to try to bring in how bad the Rockies are when they've been notoriously bad and haven't had a winning season in how many years?
A lot.
That's a stretch for us
Somehow,
here.
maybe the judge might sympathize with him. Coming up, guys, on FOS tomorrow, after 23 years, we say goodbye to Around the Horn. Tony Reale joins us tomorrow. We'll see you later.